Welcome to the War Update. Today we're telling you a story that at first glance looks like Russian dominance. But is it really? Look at the map. In the week from November 4th to 11th, 2025, Russia captured 59 square miles of Ukrainian territory, the largest weekly gain in recent times. Seems like they're winning, right? Now let's look at the price. As of the morning of November 13th, 2025, total Russian military losses reached approximately 1,155,360 personnel. Just in the last 24 hours, another 1,180 lives. Imagine this. Every single day, an entire small town disappears. Every day. Remember Avdiivka. Before the war, an ordinary Ukrainian town of 31,000 residents, 29 square kilometers. Like Saratoga Springs, New York, the kind of place most Russians couldn't find on a map. Russia lost approximately 40,000 to 50,000 soldiers, killed and severely wounded, just to capture this one small city. Think about this. 3 to 4 Russian soldiers died to drive out one Ukrainian from the ruins of their own home. Bakhmut was even worse. 70,000 to 100,000 Russian casualties for a city that's now just rubble. And Pokrovsk, over a year of constant assault, approximately 100,000 Russian soldiers killed and severely wounded in this single direction alone. Let that sink in. 3 cities. Over 200,000 Russian lives. For what? Ruins and PYRRHIC victories that Putin can show on state TV. And that's just 3 locations. 3. Dozens of other settlements have become graveyards of Russian ambitions. But propaganda works well. The news shows flags over ruins, talks about liberation, promises victory. Only one question remains unanswered. What's the price of this victory? Here's where the real story begins. Remember how in 2022 they talked about 3 days to Kyiv? We almost forgot about that, because now it's November 2025. Russia controls 19% of Ukraine's territory, an area roughly equivalent to the US state of Ohio. For comparison, Adolf Hitler conquered most of Europe in 4 years, starting in 1939. Putin, in nearly 4 years, couldn't overcome even a fifth of Ukraine. The second army in the world? More like the myth of the second army in the world. Let's talk about Putin's deadlines. In November 2025, Russian forces advanced an average of 135 meters per day toward Pokrovsk. 135 meters. That's the length of a football field, per day. They promised to take all of Donetsk by October 15th, postponed to 2026, but he definitely will fail again. Now, Pokrovsk was supposed to fall by mid-November, but the Russians control only part of the city, and Ukrainians continue to hold on. From 3 days to maybe next year. And now the real blow. According to the Inheritance Registry and court cases, in 2025, the average number of killed rose to about 300 people per day during the peak of Russia's offensive. Compare that to 200 to 250 in 2024. The more they advance, the more they die. And here's the most interesting part. As of November 7th, 2025, the confirmed deaths of 5,943 Russian officers have been documented. Not soldiers, officers. People with experience, education, those who should be commanding. 12 Russian generals were officially confirmed killed. An army without experienced commanders isn't an army, it's a mob. Now enter the economics. Russia's National Wealth Fund, the one that was supposed to help pensioners and hospitals. Liquid assets dropped to approximately $35 to $36 billion by mid-2025. That's half the 2022 level. At this rate, the fund will be depleted by 2026. Russian media themselves write about this. Even they can't hide the economic collapse. And worst of all for the Kremlin, according to a journalistic investigation by Radio Free Liberty in March 2025, Ukrainian strikes on Russia's energy sector caused at least 60 billion rubles in damage. As of early October 2025, Ukrainian drone strikes knocked out nearly 40% of Russia's oil refining capacity. A $500 drone destroys a $5 million tank. That's the best investment in war. Now for the finale, and it's not what the Kremlin expects. Putin counted on a quick victory. Instead, he got a war of attrition. And you know what? In February 2025, President Zelensky announced that over 46,000 Ukrainian soldiers had been killed and 380,000 wounded. These are terrible numbers. Every loss is a tragedy. But compare it with Russian losses. By mid-2025, between 200,000 and 220,000 Russians had died in the war, according to independent investigations. Over 1 million Russian soldiers were killed and wounded since the war began. Ukraine is losing less, holding longer, and growing stronger. Before the war, Ukraine ranked 22nd in global military power. Now, in the top 20, Europe's strongest army on the front line. Here's where the real magic begins. Ukraine isn't just holding on, it's integrating into NATO. Training, standards, intelligence, coordination. Western aid isn't charity, it's an investment in global peace. Think of it this way. Every dollar spent on HIMARS for Ukraine is a dollar that won't have to be spent defending Poland, or the Baltics, or anywhere else the next dictator sets his sights on. Losing Ukraine means telling every autocrat, go ahead, try it. The world won't stop you. And now the most important part. Civilian casualties in Ukraine rose 27% compared to last year. Russia attacks hospitals, schools, energy infrastructure. In total, since the full-scale invasion began in 2022, 53,006 civilian casualties, including 14,534 killed. This isn't war. This is terrorism on an industrial scale. But history knows terror doesn't defeat people. Ask Hitler. Ask anyone who tried to break the will to freedom. The climax. Putin cannot win this war. He can only prolong the agony. Every day his army weakens. The economy cracks. Allies, North Korea and Iran, aren't saving him, only delaying the inevitable. Russia has lost as many soldiers in 3 years in Ukraine as it lost in all wars combined from World War II until 2022. Think about that number. All wars over 77 years, Afghanistan, Chechnya, Georgia, didn't come close to the bloodshed happening now. Ukraine wins by enduring. Russia loses by exhausting itself. The fog over Pokrovsk is clearing, and when it lifts, the drones return to work. The war continues. But who's really winning? The one standing on their own land, the one defending their home, the one who doesn't give up, even when the odds seem impossible. Ukraine isn't just surviving. Ukraine is proving that democracy is stronger than tyranny, that truth is stronger than propaganda, that a people fighting for freedom cannot be broken. Russia may capture a few cities, but Ukraine has already won something far more important. The battle for the future. And this battle is only beginning. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Together, we hold strong until the end.